Claire, on your previous point, though, about intimidation and anti-Semitism, calls like from the river to the sea or calls like intifada, do they rise to the standard?
I've seen people say that those words mean the annihilation of Israel. I've seen people say that it means the opposite.
How gutless, if not dishonest. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has given no leadership on this in public, but Jewish leaders said he told them privately the other day the protesters are just trots, being Trotskyists, and he was going to finally stand up to them and the anti-Semitism. And yes, indeed, hallelujah, he today finally did at least put his own education minister, Jason Clare, who was standing right next to him, back in his box. He said, of course, chanting from the river to the sea was wrong, even if he didn't call it out as clearly as he should have.
Well, it is a slogan that calls for opposition to a two-state solution. My position is very clear and the government's position is clear, and it's been a bipartisan position for a long period of time.
He should have been clear. It's opposition to the existence of Israel. Then never mind. Joining me is Liberal MP Sarah Henderson. She's the Coalition's education spokesman. Sarah, great to see you again. Has the Prime Minister slapped down his education minister there?
Andrew, good evening and terrific to join you. And yes, absolutely. He has made it very clear that he won't accept the sort of ducking and weaving that we have seen from Education Minister Jason Clare. In fact, it's so serious because Jason Clare has implicitly endorsed the use of anti-Jewish hate speech by saying this means different things to different people. No, it doesn't. That is dishonest, and this shows a weak and pathetic education minister who will not stand up to anti-Semitism on campuses, and it's particularly bad, Andrew, at the University of Sydney. Jason Clare has no courage. He frankly has let down all Australians, and if he cannot ban hate speech on university campuses, as I've said today, and I'll say it again, he must resign, and if he doesn't resign, the Prime Minister must sack him.
But Sarah, here's the thing. They will say, look, universities are temples of free speech. I mean, that's laughable given some of the things they've been up to, but temples of free speech, you can't ban, one side putting their argument. What do you say to that?
This is not an issue of free speech. This is clear hate speech. This is bullying. This is a breach of many of their codes of conduct. So it breaches their bullying charter, their student charter, the code of discipline that applies to all students. When they enrol, they are required to comply with university policies. Some of the Vice-Chancellors have not had the guts and the courage to enforce their own codes of conduct which protect all students from discrimination, from harassment, from threats of violence and from intimidation. And this absolutely crosses the line. This is inciting violence, and the Vice-Chancellors must step in. And as for Jason Clare, Andrew, I mean, for goodness sake, he should be throwing the book at universities which fail to keep students safe. And this is not just an issue for Jewish students and staff, but many non-Jewish students are saying, this is terrible, I can't study, I can't be on this campus with this level of violence and these threats and this intimidation. So, frankly, he has been weak, he has been gutless, it is disgraceful, and he must do something or get out of the portfolio.
Look, I tell you what, there seems to be a willful blindness or a dishonesty, I have to say it pretty firmly here, from Labor MPs all over the shop now about that slogan, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which Hamas terrorists actually have said. I've got footage of an Hamas official saying, this means wiping out Israel. Here is Jed Carney today.
Yep,
There's just the Assistant Health Minister pretending she's not sure what that slogan really means, even claiming it could mean living in peace. Here she is.
Do those words, in your view, constitute hate speech? Jewish groups saying, particularly from the river to the sea, in their minds means that a Jewish state doesn't exist.
Well, it's all in the interpretation. I'm not really 100% familiar with that term. It could mean that we live harmoniously.
Sarah, I'm calling bull on Carney claiming she didn't know what that River to the Sea slogan really means, because 3 years ago, as you probably know, she was called out by other Labor MPs, including the late Kimberley Kitching, a friend of mine, for this post of her, put up of her, under that very slogan. The Sydney Morning Herald back then reported that a sheepish Carney told colleagues she did not endorse the wording of the post, from the River to the Sea. After a flurry of phone calls, it was removed, and members of the group conceded they'd been ignorant to the true meaning of the phrase. Is she really just ignorant now, 3 years on, or willfully ignorant, should I say, dishonest?
Well, I think the only conclusion that you can draw is that Jed Carney is not being truthful, because I remember that very well. In fact, Alan Tudge called this out when the Melbourne University ALP club was running some sort of rally. There was Jed Carney. That post decrying Israel and the right to exist was actually pulled down. Jed Carney was very well aware of what that phrase meant, that it meant the end of Israel. It is a cry to destroy Israel. So it is very hard to believe that she was telling the truth today when she said she had no idea, and in fact it could even be something positive for the people of Israel. What a load of rubbish. I mean, the bottom line, Andrew, is that this government is not taking anti-Semitism seriously. It is betraying Jewish Australians. We saw the chancellors the other day not taking a stand against these words, saying, oh, well, they're not unlawful, so there's nothing we can do. Yes, there is. There is lots that the universities can do. They can enforce their codes of conduct, which prevent intimidation, bullying, harassment and hate speech, and start protecting students on campus. It is beyond disgraceful, Andrew.
Look, I apologise for laughing back then when it is so serious, but Jed Carney's chutzpah, are we still allowed to use Jewish words? Chutzpah, and claiming, I don't know, what it could mean peace. I mean, what does she think? She must think the Australians are fools to believe that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We know better than that.
Yeah.
Sarah Henderson, thank you so much indeed for your time.